The workshop sat on the fringes of nowhere, a dusty repair bay on the barren world of Thorn 5, where junkers and rogue traders limped in for fixes before drifting back into the stars. The mechanic Dane Cartwright didn't mind. Solitude suited him fine, and so did the clatter of tools over chatter with people. That was until she walked in. It was near dusk when the repair bay's clunky alarm buzzed, signaling a visitor. Dane wiped his oil-streaked hands on his coveralls, grumbling about late arrivals. But when he stepped outside, the grumble died on his lips. Standing in the golden haze was a figure, tall and poised, her silhouette sharp against the setting sun. Dane blinked, staring as if he'd forgotten how. The stranger was alien, no doubt, but alien in the way that only poets could describe. Ethereal, with smooth pearlescent skin that shimmered in gradients of lavender and gold. Her hair, if it was hair, flowed like silken threads of starlight, rippling as though caught in an unseen breeze. Her eyes, large and luminous, reflected the galaxy itself. "Do you repair here?" she asked, her voice soft, musical. Dane cleared his throat. "Yeah, I fix ships. What seems to be the issue?" The alien woman stepped aside to reveal her vessel, a craft unlike anything Dane had ever seen. Sleek, organic, and pulsing faintly with bioluminescence, the ship looked as if it had grown rather than been built. It sat wounded, a crack running along its spine, with faint plumes of purple mist escaping through it. Dane sucked in a breath. "That's not a standard issue." The alien tilted her head. "It is living, and it is dying." Dane frowned. Living ships are rare as hell. Fixing one's no easy feat. The alien stepped forward, a plea in her silver eyes. "I am Lyra. My people call me a starborn. This ship is not just my vessel. It is part of my soul. I have no tools to mend it. You are my last hope." Dane scratched his head, nervous. "Listen, lady, I don't even know where to start on a ship like that. You'll want a xenobiologist or a—" She cut him off, closing the distance between them. Her presence was overwhelming, yet soothing all the same. "Please," Lyra said softly, her voice trembling. "I will do anything. Anything you require, if only you save it." Dane's cheeks flushed involuntarily. "Anything, huh?" He waved a dismissive hand. "Relax, I ain't that kind of guy. Look, I'll do my best, but I'm going to need some time. And, some explanations about how this thing works." Lyra's tense shoulders dropped in relief. "Time I can grant you. Knowledge I will share." Days turned to nights, and Dane worked tirelessly on the alien craft under Lyra's watchful gaze. The ship was unlike anything he'd touched. Its systems were veins of light, its fuel pulsing like blood, and its hull alive. Lyra taught him to meld human tools with her knowledge of organic engineering. Together, they became a team. During breaks, she told him stories. How her people traveled between the stars not as conquerors, but as symbiotes with their ships, beings they bonded with from birth. Dane listened with rapt attention, captivated not just by the tales, but by her. Every word she spoke felt like poetry. Every glance she gave him felt heavier than it should. One night, as Dane fused another glowing panel into place, he paused and looked up at Lyra. She sat cross-legged on a tool bench, the ambient light casting soft hues across her face. "Why are you out here anyway?" Dane asked. "You starborn seem like you're above all this mess. Planets, repairs, people like me." Lyra's expression softened, but there was sadness in her gaze. "I fled," she admitted, "from my people. I was betrothed to someone I did not love, a union that would bind me to him, and a ship I did not choose. This vessel," she placed a hand reverently on its smooth surface, "is mine alone. I would rather see it die than let it be taken from me." Dane let her words settle. "Hell of a risk for freedom." "Yes," she whispered, But what is life without it? Dane nodded, understanding more than he cared to admit. He'd spent his own life running, from expectations from people, from himself. By the end of the week, Dane had patched the vessel's wounds. It thrummed beneath his touch, alive and whole again. Lyra stood beside him, her iridescent hair shimmering as she smiled. "It will live," Dane said, stepping back, tired but proud. "You saved us both," Lyra replied, her voice filled with gratitude. She stepped forward and took his calloused hand in hers. "I will not forget this." There was a moment of silence as they stood close, the stars above them glittering like distant fires. Dane cleared his throat. "You're leaving, then?" Lyra nodded. "I must. I cannot stay in one place for long, or they will find me." He let out a slow breath. "Figures." She squeezed his hand, her gaze searching his. "But you could come with me." Dane blinked, startled. "What?" "You are more than a mechanic, Dane Cartwright. You are curious, resourceful, and kind. There is a place for you among the stars, if you would take it." The offer hung in the air, heavy with possibility. Dane looked at the workshop he'd built, the tools, the dust, the life he'd carved out of nowhere. It wasn't much, but it was his. And yet, looking into Lyra's eyes, those infinite silver pools, he felt something he hadn't in years. Wonder. "You sure about this?" he asked. Lyra smiled, radiant as a supernova. "I am." For a long moment, Dane considered. Then he exhaled sharply and grinned. "Well, guess it's about time I fixed more than just ships." Lyra laughed, a sound like starlight dancing. Together, they climbed into the ship, and as the bay doors groaned open, the vessel lifted into the air. Dane felt its pulse through his boots, like the heartbeat of some massive, living thing. The workshop grew small behind them, the planet fading to it as they broke the atmosphere. Dane stood beside Lyra, staring out into the abyss of space, the universe, vast and waiting. "Where to?" he asked. "Anywhere," she replied. "Everywhere." And so they went, two souls adrift in the stars, bound by destiny, freedom, and a ship that carried them wherever their hearts desired. The stars welcomed them home.